Here we are back with Mailbag 5. This is the first thing to come in. I'm going to do it the same way as I did number 4. That seemed pretty good to me, other than the editing. I did open this to make sure what it was, because I didn't recognize the package at first. It actually came from another user in the Discord server. His name is This Old Tech. He's got a YouTube channel as well if you want to check it out, and a Twitter, I think. I'm not a big user of that platform, but this is a Western Digital WD-93844A, and as you can see, it is missing its top cover. It's had some internal damage. I think he got it from a flea market like this, but it's got the faceplate, which is really all I wanted off this, but check that out. Kind of neat to see. Obviously, the top head is busted. I do kind of want to see what happens if I turn it on, though, so we're going to actually hook this up and see what it does. Let's see if it does anything at all. Okay, that's not as bad as I thought it would be. Let's detect it. It's getting worse. Let me oil this stepper and see if it changes anything. For anyone wondering, these caps are just glued on. If you twist them a little bit with a pair of pliers, they come right off. Yeah, that would probably be why it wasn't doing anything, huh? Let's add some oil to that. I guess I'll work on this later at a later time after I've got the faceplate off it. Here's the next one, and I do know exactly what these are. These are two ExcelStor drives, but you can see there may be a problem here. You know, supposedly, these were tested working before they got shipped out. I believe they might even have been new old stock before he tested them. Let's see if they're still any good. My immediate concern is that there's only one here. There's supposed to be two. So that kind of sucks. I'm going to message the guy immediately, and let's see if it works, though. This next one looks big, but I think there's only two drives in here, and I'm pretty sure that they're both full height. So let's have a look. This is from the same guy who had the Samsung drive last episode, and sure enough, it looks like it's packed very well. Here's the inner core of that package without the packing peanuts. Nope, this wasn't the full height drives. This is actually 5 other drives. Still from the same guy, but not related to the full height ones. Here's the center of all of that bubble wrap. So in that package, we received these 5 drives. Fujitsu M2624SA, which I thought was going to be IDE, but nope, it's SCSI single-ended. Microscience 5100. This one is an SD drive. Sadly, I don't have an SD controller at the moment, but we can spin it up and see what it does. Supposedly it works. A Microscience 7120, which is an IDE drive. Supposedly this one does not work. We'll test it, though. NEC D3661. This is another SD drive. Again, no SD controller. And interestingly, this looks like a stepper motor chassis, but I think this is voice coil. We may open that and see what it looks like inside. And then the last one, which is the real star here. This is the Panasonic JU-116. And this is an MFM drive. And hopefully this drive will work at least a little bit so that we can see and hear what it sounds like. Let's open the next package. And here's what that looks like. This is a ridiculously sturdy box. Same packaging as the other one. Let's get these out of there. Very nicely wrapped as usual. Here's one of them out. This is an NEC D5862. This is a SCSI drive, so we will be able to test this one. But check that out. He even puts cardboard over the control board so they don't get destroyed. And this is the other full height drive. This is an IBM 671, also SCSI, I think. And it got the same treatment. How cool. Well, we ought to start powering these drives up. So here is the Fujitsu. It sounds like it works, but who knows? Microscience's 5100 SD drive. Well, that was interesting. Maybe that means it's working. I don't know. This is the 7120, the IDE drive. It made the same kind of sound as the 5100, so maybe it's working. Just kind of has a terrible sound and spindle. We'll have to test it later. NEC D3661 SD drive again. Can't test it further, but let's see if it spins up. Definitely seems to be voice coil. But it seems to work. Yeah, that's 100% voice coil. This is the Panasonic, which I really wanted the most. I actually have one of these new old stock, but I don't know where it is. I've somehow lost it. So we'll actually see what this drive does. How about that? Well, it did some seeks. I wonder, is it working? I can't tell. We'll test it more later. For anyone wondering, it's for drives like this that I have an entire separate power supply just for the drive. This one may need a start command. Oop. There it goes. I don't know, maybe that's working. It's, again, really hard to tell with SD or SCSI stuff. Last drive of that box. This is the NEC D5862. Let's see if it does anything. I like this clamshell design. It's very pretty. Maybe it's working. It's hard to tell, really. We'll test it more later, like all the other ones. But at least that one's pretty good. Most of them spun up. Well, I think all of them spun up, and all of them made pretty healthy sounds, even though he said several of them weren't working. So you'll see these either on the Discord, well, definitely on the Discord, and maybe in a future video. On to the next one. Here's another one. I don't know how interesting this truly is, but I figured I'd show it anyways for posterity's sake. I do know exactly what this is. Obviously, it's open. But I figured I'd pull it out and show you guys real quick either way. This is a Memtech AT3500. This is an early SSD. It's just a 1 gig, 3.5-inch SSD. That's really all it is with early flash memory. That's it. Nothing super interesting about that. There you go. I have that now. This box is very large and very heavy, so much so that I had to actually get up and film this a different way. And this box is very special. It contains something very interesting, I think, so let's get it open and see. Alright, looks like it's double boxed, so that's good. Unless, nope, this is actually double boxed. Let's pull that out of here and look. Ooh, you can start to see it through here. That's who it came from. Out on eBay, go check them out. Cool guy, he uploads here on YouTube too. Ooh. Wow, and there it is. The Shugart SA1004. complete with giant AC motor and ugly no-light faceplate. Yes, very cool. It's very nice of them to actually label the jumpers of what they do. Except for this, which I don't know what that is. But I don't think it's actually a jumper configuration. Nor those. I don't know, though. We're going to pull this board off, actually, and make sure that there's no catastrophic internal damage. So I'll be back in just a moment. Well, that's going to kind of suck, but I think that's very easily fixable. Luckily, that little crack in the board does not appear to be anything major. Interestingly, this drive was not parked. That's pretty standard. But it wasn't at cylinder 0 either. You know? So that's very interesting. It also has a very large damper on the outside. I don't know what that's about. Very strange. But look, it's got its sheet with it. So we'll pull that out and we'll have a look at that. So this is one of the documents, SA1004 scan error log. Looks like all 3 errors are on head 1, apparently. Interesting. It looks like they actually carbon copied that 3 times. No idea why. Apparently a day later, though, it looks like it passed with no errors. Over 15,000 iterations of testing, whatever test this was. So that's interesting. Cool that we have that, though. So we know the stepper is free, but the next question is, what about the spindle? Locking screw should be removed before energizing spindle and installed before moving the drive. Rotate in a clockwise direction only. Well, they didn't install the locking screw because I haven't done anything, but it appears that this is free. Oops, that was terrible video. You couldn't see that. I wonder if the discs on the other side are moving when I do that. Boy, this is going to be very difficult to see, huh? If not impossible. Let me attempt to remove these papers. Oh, I'm going to have to use a flashlight for this, huh? It's very dark. It's very hard to see through there. Try that. I don't think you can see that in the video, but yes, it is turning. So the belt is all in one piece. There you go. You just barely make that out. The belt is in one piece at least, so that's very nice. Which means that this drive has a high probability of working. Nice. Now I have to just find a power supply for it. Yay. Alright, here's this one. I know what this is. I had to actually take it out of the envelope because it had my address all over it. Again, this is sort of a little bit off topic for this channel because this is solid state data. But it's vintage and it's mildly interesting, so I thought I would bring it up. We're in the middle of flash snowstorm, so everything's very cold. So if you see, humidity all over it, that's why. This is a 20 megabyte SSD in the 1.3 inch form factor, like an HP Kitty Hawk, which is a drive that I desperately want. But that's very strange, and it even has the same geometry as a Kitty Hawk. This next one I had to take out of its package before I could even show it because it had my address all over it. This is a Connor Technology CT210, which is to say that this is ExcelStor. However, they bought Connor, what was left of Connor that Seagate didn't buy, as far as I'm aware. And so this is a 10 gigabyte Connor Cabot, basically, and they kept the name for a little while and switched to ExcelStor. Let's unwrap this thing and see if it works. That sure seems like it worked. I'll have to plug it into the computer later to see if anything else works, but that appears to be fine. I didn't know what this was at first, but I did open it anyways, because, like I said, I didn't know what it was. This came from, not a viewer, but this came from someone on VCF, who found one of my threads, specifically the one on the Kalok Octagon series, and offered to send me this for the cost of shipping because he couldn't use it. This came out of I think it's an MC3000, something like that, engine analyzer. And he would like me to attempt to get it working. We'll see about that. But in the meantime, let's see how it was packaged and what all came with it. So the first and most obvious thing is this Kalok Octagon KL320, which does not sound great, to be honest. But we'll find out if it works. It came with this control card, Western Digital WD1003WA2, and this is an XT Gen, I believe. Sadly, the EEPROM is not socketed. I hope it has a Super BIOS. That would be really nice. I actually need one of those for a different project. But I can always yank an EEPROM. Actually, I think it's this over here. And stick my own PROM in there. And we'll make it work somehow. Let's test that Kalok. Not good is the answer. Yeah, I don't think that drive is going to work ever again. That sounds like it has a head crash, and these drives do use an embedded track 0, I believe, so that's probably not going to work ever again. However, let's pull the cover off anyway, since it's just Phillips head screws. Before that, I went ahead and parked it manually by hand to see if maybe it would change the operation. No, it can't find its track 0, so it just shuts down. That's a shame. Well, at first glance, there's nothing horribly wrong, but yes, there are grooves on the disc, so this probably will never work again. Yep. Let me adjust that end stop just a little bit and see if anything happens. Some words of advice for anyone out there. Do not do that. Usually, these drives cannot be adjusted into working. Except this one. Making me look like a liar. Well, let's give it a shot, huh? Why don't we hook it up to the machine and see if it seeks around? Alright, machine's all hooked up. It's upset again. That's not a surprise to me at all. Let me try and get this thing to spin back up one more time. Yeah, I don't think this is going to work. Usually, adjusting the end stop does not work. Did I mention that? I don't think that worked. Okay, well that worked. Alright, well, will it seek around for us? It sure will. It thinks something's wrong now. Oh, there you go. Responding to commands and everything, huh? Maybe there's hope for this thing yet. I guess I'll throw that controller in later and see if I can actually recover anything from this drive. Probably not. Hopes are not high for that. But, couldn't hurt. These next two packages are actually imported from Europe, and this really beat up one contains something extremely interesting, which has been on my want list for a long time. I hope it's still in reasonable shape when we open it up, so let's have a look. It's definitely like a box that got sawed down into being a smaller box. It's horrible packaging. I hope it works. Well, it doesn't make any horrible noises yet. I didn't see any like rubble from it laying around in the bottom of the box or the plastic packaging. Interestingly, this has actually got a damper on it, a liquid damper. Unusual for this drive. The only other one I've ever seen didn't actually the only two other ones I've ever seen didn't have it. This is a Cogito PT-938. It's the same as a 925, but it's just got ARLL coding certification for whatever difference that makes. Still got its faceplate, which it won't focus on because it's stupid. Thank you. A lot of bad blocks, of course there are. Cool stuff though. I hope this drive works. It would be very interesting to see in operation. The last Cogito drive I got in the mail actually caught on fire when I turned it on, so we're going to actually watch the control board this time. How about that? Wow. Perfect first try, and the spindle is beautiful. Listen to that. You can barely hear it. That's magnificent. And it was parked before it got shipped, too. So that means it might actually still work, which is incredible. You know, horrible shipping aside, that was fantastic, I gotta say. That was unexpected. I hope the next one turns out to be just as good. This is a box of 2 drives. This also came from Italy, in case I didn't mention. Both of them were from Italy. Security checked. Hopefully they didn't just destroy them. I do know what these 2 drives are. One of them is a Lexicon, and the other one is an Olivetti drive. I really hope these 2 work because I've been waiting since November to get these. So let's pop it open and see what condition they're in. Got the export documentation out of the way. Interesting that this one had to be cleared by customs, but the other one didn't. Maybe it's the weight. That's the Lexicon HD352, and then this is I think it's an Olivetti Ope. I don't remember the exact model. 662 maybe? I'm not sure. We'll have a look in just a second. Lexikon HD352. I gotta be honest, I was fully expecting this to be a voice coil drive, and I still kind of am, but that looks like a stepping motor. If it would focus, please focus for once in your life, phone. Thank you. I think this has a stepper motor. Oh, for sure it has a stepper motor. Look at that. It's even got the... This is a really late stepper motor drive. It's very beautiful. I quite like the way it looks. Let's see if it works. Well, that was an awesome sound. I hope you could hear that. Bearings sound beautiful in this drive as well. No idea if it was parked. It's very difficult to tell. But I'm very happy with this drive so far. It seems like it's working. No auto park, though. Let's try the Olivetti. And here's the Olivetti Ope HD661-12. Sorry, not a 662. This is definitely a stepper motor drive. I think this may be bespoke Olivetti design. I haven't seen a drive that looks quite like this anywhere else. It looks like it's set for ID 4. It's very unusual. I'm not sure what any of these jumpers mean, which is going to be a problem. But for now, it's not locked up. We'll see if it does anything. Why not? We'll just spin it up. The power connector made a horrible snapping noise when I plugged it in, but let's see if it does anything. The answer to that question is no, so I guess we'll have to work on that later. Oh well. 2 out of 3, not horrible. And again, all three of these came from Italy, and it seems like they all survived despite kind of shoddy packaging on the first one. These are very interesting drives, and I'm very happy to have them in my collection. This is another import package that I've been waiting on for a long time. This is coming from Czechoslovakia, I think. And it's like a month or two late as well, but we're going to open it and see what it is. This is I know what this is. This is a Gigastorage B5300A, I think. It's funny. This actually says Dell, so don't worry about that. But this is he says it worked very definitively, like 3 times in the listing. So hopefully it still works after all this shipping trouble. At least it's like real hard drive packing material. That's kind of nice. It's fairly unusual to see that kind of thing. And here it is in all its 5 1/4 inch slimline glory. I don't see anything immediately horribly wrong other than those pins are all bent outwards, but no jumper would be one drive, so it's fine. Well, I guess let's see if it still works. Alright, we're all hooked up. Maybe that was good. Let's see if it detects. Sure looks like it detected. Yeah. Well, there you go. I think that's working. So, neat. I guess I'll do some more testing on it to make sure it's actually working properly, but that's kind of cool. This is a Perstor, I think a PS180 disk controller, advanced ARLL. It says 200, but I know it's a 180. I've seen it. Sadly, it's not quite the model I wanted. This is actually like the base model. It's a PS180, although it does have the AT BIOS, which is nice. The box is pretty beat up, but it does have the manual. And yes, it is an ARLL controller. That said, this is unfortunately an XT controller, and I don't have an XT that currently works to put this in. So we'll try putting it in the AT bench machine with a Pentium 3. See how that works out for us. There she is. What a beauty. Obviously, it has been used. Look at all the mismatched jumpers. I wouldn't imagine that someone would pay so much for one of these cards without actually using it. So, we'll read the manual and stick it in the computer and see what happens. I wonder if anyone's backed that up, because I don't have a 5 1/4 inch drive with which to read that. I hope none of it is, like, super necessary. Well, sadly, that controller didn't seem to work out very well. It doesn't seem to be working. So, instead, I'll end with this rather nice Seagate pillow I got from Redbubble. Thank you very much for watching.